school. And since like Sandia Prep's high school and middle school, they had middle school go like one day, high school the next day, and then both of us together on the next 2 days and then a day off. And that's all I know, but that still is probably going to get changed.
Got it. So it's gonna change week to week depending on how the waves and all that. It's gonna be nuts. I'm so thankful for our virtual program with Cutco, because we don't know what the future holds, right? And with school or work or just gosh, we don't even know what the world is going to be like in 6 months. But it's nice to be able to have a job where you can have control and flexibility that you can do from anywhere. It's really incredible to have a product that everybody's going to want, and it's going to continue to be more and more valuable, because people cooking at home more, spending more time with family. So I'm really appreciative for all those things for Cutco, and I'm glad you guys are all part of the team. Mr. Rodriguez, good morning. Do you go by Josh or Joshua?
Either or, it doesn't really matter, Drew.
Which office are you from? Remind me again.
South Denver.
You're in my office.
Yep.
Gosh, why am I? Because everything is virtual and I don't see anybody in person. I even forget who's South Denver versus my other. Josh, I'm sorry, dude. I'm really looking forward to when we can do like in-person office events and we can all hang out. You've been down to?
Yep, I've been down to the South Denver office a couple times. I got my blue book from over there.
Cool.
And my contest stuff when I won the push stuff.
Oh, that's right. Oh, you got that $100 push prize.
Yep, the $100. I got a hat, and then we're gonna be hanging out over there for on Thursday through Sunday to do all-day phone days before
Sweet.
push. So.
Sweet. Dude, push is going to be so much fun. SC2 is going to be a blast. The event tomorrow night, the division meeting, is going to be really strong. Adam Hayes-Lemon's going to be teaching really high-level recommendation skills and kind of a new approach that he's been teaching in Fort Collins. So I'm really looking forward to it. But Josh, we'll have to, next time you're in the South Denver office, we'll have to hang out and get to know each other better. Erin, good morning. You're in Albuquerque as well, right?
Yes, I am.
And remind me again, you started a couple weeks ago, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And where do you go to school?
I'm going to UNM for communications.
Do you know what's happening with classes?
They gave us, yeah, they sent us an email that basically said that it's up to our professors. Like,
gosh. Well, do you think professors are going to want to go in class?
I don't know. I think it really just depends on like if the professor is older or high risk, probably.
That's true. Or if they're just, bored at being at home and they want to be around people. And but they also, there's probably so much pressure for professors. They don't want to be like socially against the curve, but they, so it's hard to make that decision. And it's, gosh, that's gonna be tough. It would be hard to be it'll be unique and interesting to be a college student. And what's cool about, Vector students is that you guys are taught, whether it's through pushes or through, phone jams or just through, building up tough skin or just realizing that, what you put in is what you get out, and life is a roller coaster, and, that you're more prepared for what's to come than the average college student. And I think that that's something special about Vector, is that even just with the skills you've learned and the capacity that you've built for yourself over the past couple weeks, you're, or months or years, well, probably months or weeks for most of you, but that just prepares you for the future, and it makes you willing to deal with whatever's going to come your way. And, when some of your friends are freaking out about, is it going to be virtual? Is it going to be, in person? And most of you are probably just laughing through that and smiling, like the same way that you would if you have a bad phone time, or the same way that you would if you have a day of no sales, right? And I think that's special about Vector, is it teaches you and it prepares you for, for anything that's to come. So, and do you pronounce it Erin or Aaron?
Erin.
Erin. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Well, it's great to meet you. And Jessica, where are you at school again?
I just graduated from Albuquerque Academy and will be going to NYU next year.
NYU. Is New York, are you able to get there?
Yeah, I think so. I just got my rooming assignments yesterday, so they're planning on us returning. So I'm
Excellent.
pretty excited.
Excellent. Well, that'll be fun. I've got a bunch of friends who went to NYU. I'm from the East Coast, so I went, and a handful of my friends went up there, and a couple went to the Tisch, music school there. And isn't that part of NYU?
Yeah, that's one of the big colleges in NYU.
Yeah. So excellent. Who did I not say hi to? I think I said hi to everybody so far this morning. So well, excellent. Thank you for being on early, and thanks for letting me say hey to each of you for a minute. I'm going to spotlight my video as we're doing the recording here, and then you can hit gallery view if you want to see each of your faces, or you can hit speaker view so you can see mine. I'm going to be sharing my screen throughout SLDM. So with scripts, but I also want to put in the chat box that there's a link. It's called tinyurl.com/RMSLDM handouts. tinyurl.com/RMDSLDM handouts. And if you want to go to that link, you can download that packet. I'm going to be sharing the same packet on my screen throughout SLDM. So if you want to download it now, you can. If not, you can just follow along and you can download it later. But that has the script for closing on the ultimate, has the script for working with Wusthof and Henkel's owners, and all the things that we're going to be reviewing today. So it's a lot of fun handouts. So I guess I want to start off with just saying welcome to SLDM, and thank you for taking the time out of your day. I don't take that lightly. I think it's important to know that you're not getting paid to be at this meeting directly, but indirectly you will, hopefully, as long as you take some of the skills and the value to heart, and you implement that in your demos, or maybe if this just sparks some motivation or some inspiration just to get to the next level, indirectly you will earn more just by being at this meeting. And I think that's something about Vector and just about life. The more you put in, the more you get out, and it's not always directly transactional. It's about growing yourself and growing your capacity, and realizing that the things that you learn in this job and the skills that you build here, and the more effort you put into this job is going to make you better at anything you do later on. It's going to make you better, in your future careers, in your major, in school. You'll be better students because of the time management and the and your ability to handle a lot at once, and to deal with challenges and obstacles and whatever that is. So I really love that you've taken the time to invest into yourself. I know that most of you are like, just teach me the ultimate close. I just want to sell more sets. So I get that, but I'm trying to make this feel more special. So just give me a few minutes at it. So anyway, I do want to do a quick round, and I know we just did quick introductions, but I just want to hear from each of you just what your favorite thing about Vector is so far, and maybe just your office again, what you're at in sales. So, and not that matters, but just for perspective, because some of you just started like 2 weeks ago, and some of you have been here for a little bit. So I don't want you to get intimidated by Allie's sales. So just, your name, your office, what you're at in sales, and just your favorite thing so far. And it doesn't have to be super elaborate. It could just be pretty quick, or maybe if there's an anecdote or a story that you have. Aubrey, I'll start with you since you're the first one on.
So my name's Aubrey. I'm from the Colorado Springs office. I am right under 4,000 in sales, I believe. And my favorite thing about this is the positivity. Everybody works as a team, and everybody is congratulating each other. Even if they don't get a sale, they're lifting them up, and it's nice to have a job that doesn't feel like a job. You're working from home, you're making your own schedule, and no matter what you do, as long as you're trying, you're getting that credit. So that's what feels so good to me personally.
I love that. I love the sense of just being recognized for your hard work. And Vector was the first job that I had that really recognized me for what I put in. And it gives you that sense of value, and it makes you realize that you're powerful and valuable, and you've got a lot of potential, and way more than you ever thought possible before.
Yep, definitely.
Love that. And I love that support too. And you know, those tough days where you just like want to give up on yourself, and then you jump on a meeting. Now it's Zoom, but you know, otherwise you just go to the office and you like get a high five, or you like talk to your manager. You're like, oh, everything's better. It's like refilling your gas tank.
Yeah, definitely.
Love that. Olivia, what about you?
So my name is Olivia, and I'm from the Colorado Springs office, and I am less than 4K. I'm like almost at 4K in sales. But what I love about Vector is that they have so many learning opportunities, and like I can just learn so much. I've taken so many notes, and I can apply everything that I've learned like in other jobs as well, because I'm going into like freelancing artwork. So I'm going to be working with customers and whatnot. And so I think it's super important that Vector does offer so many resources in learning, not just for, Vector and, Cutco, but also just in real life in general. And I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. And were you on the conference last week where we had the financial message from Wes Frank, and some of you guys weren't? If you weren't, we have the recordings of all the conferences we've done this summer. So any of the financial coaching or even just the non-Cutco knife stuff, we've got all that recorded. I love that too, because you just don't learn those things in school, right? You know, in finances and managing a schedule and networking and building a customer base. I mean, in most of the industries that you're going to be going into, you're going to have to network and build a business and deal with people. And there's not a whole lot of classes that teach that. So love that. Ashley, what about you?
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm from the East Denver. My sales are just under 8,000. And I love the flexibility and the communication here. It just makes everything flow so much easier.
Mm-hmm. I love that too. And I think that skill set wise, what you learn, but also just, the ability to communicate directly with your manager and get that support. And I know you working with Garrett, being able to have him at your, 24/7, whenever you need for that support and coaching is really, I love that. I love that one-on-one attention. I like that with Vector, you work for yourself with your own goals, but you don't work by yourself. You've got a big support system. Josh, what do you like?
I like a lot of stuff about this. Being able to make my own schedule. I'm sorry, I'm Josh from South Denver.
Sorry, I teed you up wrong.
So, like I said, I like a lot of stuff. The communication skills I'm learning. I want to be a comedian, so this is really helping me get over my stage fright, get over my self-confidence. So it's building my self-confidence in everything and getting me prepared to do what I want to do in life.
Love that. I was confident with my friends when I was in high school, but I wasn't confident with adults. And Cutco allowed me to do that, because the customer base that you work with and the customers that you see are the same types of people that you're going to be interviewing with, working with for the rest of your life. And so that just prepares you so much earlier, right? So going in to talk to, a comedy, whatever, store manager or somebody to get an agent to get gigs. That's excellent. Well, make sure I'm sure you write down all your jokes, and you've got notebooks and notebooks and notebooks. At one point, you're going to have to do a routine in the office, and Maritza and I will give you we'll give you our thumbs up or thumbs down on your first one. You know what I love though? I love watching Jerry Seinfeld comedians and with coffee and cars. And I just, that's my favorite. So I love hearing stories of comedians when they first started, and all their like horror stories of just like how awkward it was when they were learning and growing and figuring it out. And I think it's just a representation of life. And that's, you putting yourself out there in this job, you got to toughen up your skin, right? You put yourself in awkward positions, calling, ex-boyfriend and girlfriend's parents, and calling, grandma and grandpa for, to sell some knives. Like it's, some of the things that you do right away, you're like, oh, this is different, right? But then it prepares you for, that confidence. And, even the tough days when you have a couple no sales in a row and you want to give up, that prepares you, because life doesn't get easier, it gets tougher, right? And it's not like, having a no sale in knives is going to be like the worst thing that happens to you in your life. So it's good to practice and learn those skills. And, this is a very forgiving job too, because you can have a couple no sales one day, and then the next day have a grand day and make a couple $100, right? Allie, what about you?
So my name's Allie. What were the things I had to say again?
Just what you like about the job.
Oh, okay. Well,
What are you at in sales now?
I'm a few hundred away from 18,000, I think. But I'm trying to get to 20 by push so that I can get to 30 or like 35, you know?
Make that next promotion.
Exactly. But I love that we're all younger people, because we get more opportunities than anyone else. And then you go into school and people are like asking, like what you did, and you're like, oh yeah, well, I became an assistant manager. Now I'm managing people that are like older than me, and it's really fun. And I don't know, I've had more opportunity this summer than I have in my entire 17 years being on this planet. So I really like that.
Love that. I was going to review this in a few. What I love that too, just the opportunity. As you know, I think you guys have all been to conferences and you went through the training, but I started when I was, right out of high school. I was 18. And right after, I graduated from high school, I started right before July 4th weekend. Worked for 6 weeks my first summer, sold about $15,000, didn't break any records, but it was consistent. I made like $4 or $5 grand in income. And I was like, this is the greatest job ever. I'm 18. I've never seen this much money in my life. But all those skills and just that confidence and Allie, as you said, the ability to lead. So what I loved was the advancement and the development. I became an assistant manager my second summer and then I was just an assistant manager and then a sales manager and then a pilot sales manager. But while I was doing that, one of the important things was leading by example with sales. And I loved the dual income opportunity. So when I was an assistant manager, there was never a week that I didn't hit the newsletter. In fact, I only had like one day off a week as an assistant. And in that one day off, I always had a grand day. I did like 5 or 6 appointments. I always made sure I had a grand day because I knew that one, I was going to be more influential as an assistant if I was leading by example, because, I was young. I was like 18, 19, 20. So I was like, they're not going to listen to me unless I'm selling a lot and they have a reason to listen to me. So I led by example in that way. And then also income, because I wanted to graduate debt free. I wanted to, not worry about money when I was in school. I played tennis when I was in college. So for me, I was in the club travel team and I was the captain. So I had responsibilities and I didn't really want to work when I was in school. So I worked my tail off for 3 or 4 months over the summer, made enough money over the summer to pay my way through school and, graduate debt free. And also, school, I got to focus on school and sports. Now it's a little bit different because we got the virtual program. So you have the ability where you could even work 1 day a week or 2 days a week while you're at school. Gosh, there wasn't even Skype was brand new when I was in college. So it wasn't we didn't have virtual demos. We didn't have the ability to do any of that. Now, I wish I could have done that where you could sit in your dorm room and be like an assistant manager, away at school. So I really love the advancement opportunities. And I love that I got to learn both, and I got to run interviews and I got to manage people and help people. And I really loved being able to coach somebody and teach somebody, or to accept somebody for the job and give somebody the opportunity, or call somebody, as a personal recruit and say, I think you should try this out. And then watching them later make their first sales or hit promotions. It's just a rewarding feeling to be able to share the opportunity and pay it forward. And that's why I loved management, but equally, I was just passionate about sales because, I was able to make as much money as I wanted based on my effort. And I loved, especially getting to 30%. Once you hit 30%, you guys know it's dirty 30. Once you hit $20,000 in sales is the 35% level. Once you hit the bonus level, the way that bonus works is you get paid 30% flat on all your weekly paychecks. And at the end of the month, you get whatever bonus level that is off of the entire month's sales for whatever level you were at. And if you hit 2 promotions in that month, you get, both those levels, whatever that percentage is. So for example, let's say, I'm just going to use an easy one because my math brain, I'm not doing this at 9:15 in the morning. So let's say that, that's that 50%. So Aaron, you're at 50% and you sell $2,000 a week. So 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, 2,000 for 4 weeks, that's $8,000. Now you get 30% on your weekly paycheck. So 30% of 2,000 is 600. So you get $600 a week on your weeklies. And at the end of the month, you sold $8 grand. Now your bonus is 20%, right? So 20% of 8,000 is, what is that? 1,600. So $1,600 is the bonus. So yeah, I got that math right. So 600 a week times the 4 weeks is 2,400. So you got 2,400 on your weekly paychecks. And then the bonus is paid the first week of the next month. So the first week of the next month, you would get your weekly paycheck, 30% of what you sold that previous week. And then you would get your $1,600 bonus check from the previous month's sales. I got my first bonus check the first week that I went away to college when I was a freshman. I hit 40%, right before I went away. And I remember I was like sitting in class, and I remember like seeing an email with my direct deposit from my bonus. I was like, I haven't sold a knife in like 3 or 4 weeks, and I got a paycheck, and it was like the coolest thing. So that's how bonus works. And once you hit 20,000, that's the first bonus level of 35%. 30,000 is 40%. 50,000 is 45%, and 150,000 is 50%. Now, if you ran a branch office, and I know we're not going to talk too much about management today, but I know some of you have piqued interest. Running a branch office is basically like being an assistant manager, doing all those things, but also running training and being like, it's your office. So skill set wise, it's just a little bit more responsibility, more training, but it's yours. So we have a branch program that you actually get a bonus. You get paid to run the office. It's like a sign-on bonus. So branch managers, if they run a virtual office, they get a $3,000 bonus from the company to help pay for all expenses, which there aren't really expenses if you run a virtual office. It's mainly for like prizes and stuff for reps and like, products and things like that. And then if it's a physical office, the company gives you $6,000. So it pays for office rent, pays for all the supplies, pays for everything to run an office. One of the cool things about running a branch office too is that for the second half of the summer, July, August, and September, those 3 months, all of our branch managers make a straight 50% in commission off of their personal sales. So they get to run an office, they get to recruit, and if you're interested in a management opportunity, we've got meetings throughout the late summer and throughout the fall and throughout the year that shows you, all the details and how it works. But our branch managers have an opportunity to make, really solid money running an office, and also really incredible income off their personal sales. They also get a chance to win a company trip. All the branch managers this summer are vying for a trip to Madrid. So if they hit either a certain personal sales level or an office sales level, then they win a trip to Madrid, Spain for their spring break next year. So the branch manager program is really fun. We've got a training program throughout the year. We call it Do One Summer, Teach the Next. So you start as a representative one summer, and then you can, teach people and run your own organization. It doesn't take that long to learn how to run an office. It's really, we sell knives. So if you're good at doing a demo, it's basically just getting people excited about doing demos and teaching them how to do it, and then helping them manage their time and their schedule, right? Obviously, there's a little bit more to that, but it's fun to be able to run a team and build an organization. And, we have reps who are 18, 19, 20 years old running their own businesses over the summertime. So if you're interested in that, just keep the doors open, and you don't have to make any decisions today. I'm not looking for any of that. I'm just looking to teach you how to sell more knives. So anyway, so that's the branch opportunity. Now, as I was saying with the commissions, and there was a little rabbit hole there, but if you're at a branch office, any of your sales from the entire branch office count towards personal sales. So getting towards those higher commission levels. So Trey's office is, over $100,000 in sales. So at the end of the summer, that will count towards his personal sales. And basically he's automatically at 50% for the rest of his Cutco career. So it's a nice little perk of running a branch office. But those at those levels, $20,000. One of the other neat things about $20,000 in sales is that you can join our mentor program. And your managers may have taught you about this already, but once you're at 20,000, we have a group of Cutco sales professionals: Curtis and Robert and Blake and Charlie and Darla and Braden, and we've got and Tui, and we have so many superstars that if you want to sign up for that program, you can get one-on-one coaching and mentoring from a Hall of Fame Cutco sales professional. And you've got to put a little bit of skin in the game. It's a 2%, commission pay-in, but it's we do it because one, the mentors are really valuable, and their time is, and you will certainly sell quite a bit more from getting that coaching. So it's a little bit of a buy-in, but well worth the investment. Helps you get to higher sales levels. So we do that within our division, within our community. So if you get to 20K and you want to get mentored, then talk to your manager about that. So at $30,000 in sales, we have our Fair and Show program. And this is where we have a booth at different home shows and markets and festivals and kiosks at the mall. All that is on hold for 2020, obviously, but we have a program that you have the eligibility once you're at $30,000 in sales. So that's just I just want to give you just an overview and just an idea of some of the things that you were going after. I know we took a break there and after Allie's comments. So Melanie, I'll jump back to you. What do you what office you're from? And I know Greeley office, but tell me what your favorite thing about Vector is so far.
Okay, I have a couple favorite things. So I love the support that you get, like regardless of what you sell, like Aubrey was saying. They're always there. Like even if you just sell a cheese knife or something, they're like, heck yeah, like that's something, you know? Or if you have a bad day, they're like, okay, that's great. Now you have a bad day out of the way. And so just the support overall is just really great. And also with this job, I can spend a lot more time with my daughter. She's 2 years old. So right now she's kind of going through her terrible twos, but she's still got her good days and stuff. And just, it really helps for me to be there and really show her how to deal with her anger and stuff. So it's a lot easier for me to manage my schedule around her. And then also there's no pressure to sell because you get paid just for showing it. So you don't have to be like, you need to buy the knife.
Yeah, I love that too. And the more you're focused on the customer and the less you have dollar signs in your eyes, the more you sell. And I love all those reasons, and good quality time with your daughter too. That's you can't give that up. That's priceless. That's so good. Oh, I didn't mention before, if for all of you that started this year within this calendar year, our Cutco sales professionals, we have the program where if you sell $100,000 for the year, you go on a trip, and it's all, an all-inclusive trip paid by me. I have to chaperone. But we go as a group, we go with our top reps and we just have a blast. And it's usually to Mexico, or sometimes it's a cruise. I think we'll stay away from cruises from this point, but we do basically all inclusive paid vacation, and it's just a really fun time with our top people. But if you started within the year 2020, then it's only $60,000. If you sell 60,000 for the year, then you get to go on this trip. And it's usually, we do it in January, February. We'll probably push it back a little bit further in 2021, just for travel purposes. And we'll see how the world is. But anyway, it is a fun trip. But $60,000 in sales, and now with the opportunity to be able to sell consistently and depending on classes. And, even if you started at zero right now, if you sold $2,000 a week, then you'd hit that level, right? With that much time left, maybe a little bit more, about $2,300 a week or so, and you'd hit that level. So anyway, if you're interested in going after big results or stepping up, by the way, push weeks really help too. We've got push weeks starting on Monday. So, going after a big level and knocking out a couple of those chunks, you never know. So if you want to go on a cool vacation with me, start selling more knives. But it's a fun group to be a part of. And I would always say the more consistent you are, you just keep those doors open, keep the options open. You never know what you're going to be inspired by. You might be inspired to sell, huge amounts consistently and be one of the top reps. You might be inspired to run your own office. Who knows? You might be inspired to do something else and not be here next year. That's fine too. But just keep all those doors open. All right. Who's next? Elena, go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Elena. I'm from the Colorado Springs office. I'm just around 3,400 in sales, I think. My favorite thing about the job, I think, is just in each demo, like connecting with whoever I'm talking with and making them smile and laugh and knowing that we're both having fun during it. And then I also just love the environment of Cutco. Everyone is so supportive, and I know if I'm like feeling down about a demo or like not feeling as confident going in, if I just like call my manager or like go on the group chat and say something, everyone lifts you up, and I always feel better afterwards. So it's just like my confidence is great, and just learning to like reach out and communicate to everyone. I love that.
Wonderful. I love that too. And you've got such a great office and such a great support system down there too. And it's, as I said before, it's a forgiving business because, you know, in Vector, once you realize that your managers and the people around you, they care more about you than your CPO. You know, they care about your CPO because they want you to be here for a while, right? So as long as you're selling, then that's retention. And we know that you're going to be here. That's the only time that your manager is like, you got to sell more because, you know, they want you to be part of the team long-term. But it's, I love that, you know, you realize that your managers really care about you and your future and your goals, especially in our division. Erin, what do you like?
So my name is Erin. I'm a little over 12,000 in sales. I have so many things about this job that I love, but definitely, like we've been saying this whole time, the support from everybody and the people that you meet. Like, I have 2 people that I met like the first couple weeks I got this job, and now I talk to them almost every day, and it's awesome. And also just making the customers happy. Like, once they realize what kind of amazing product they're looking at, even if they don't buy anything, it's like they feel good about the fact that they know about it, and you feel good about the fact that they know and they can tell other people that they know.
I love that. And the more excited you get, the more excited and it's just, you're just spreading that, you know, that positivity, because the product always stands for itself. You never have to apologize for it. So as long as you're just a ball of energy, people are going to pay attention. Love that. What else?
I love
Was
that.
that it? I don't mean to put you, you don't have to come up with that. No, I love that. Those friendships, some of my closest friends, I just went on a camping trip in Moab with one of my closest friends in the world, and we were Cutco reps in different offices, and when we were 18, and then went to college together, and is a lifelong friend. So it's incredible the connections you can make, because you surround yourself with like-minded people who are motivated and entrepreneurial, and, you know, care about their future and people. So excellent. Jessica?
Hi, my name's Jessica. I'm from the Albuquerque office, and I'm just over 3,300 in sales, I think. One of my favorite things, I think I have 2, it's both learning and communication. I really appreciate the learning because, like you said before, the support group is so great. So if you happen to make a mistake or something, they pick you back up. It's just a whole learning experience. We learn how to finance, we learn how to communicate, we learn how to sell, we learn how to just show who we are as people, and just, it's super fantastic. And I just love the community around this job.
Love that. And it's being able to show who you are as a person, being able to share your goals and being able to network. That's so powerful, to be able to learn how to promote yourself and learn how to show your value. Love that. I really appreciate you guys giving that feedback. That's incredibly helpful. And I'm really happy to spend my morning with you. All right. Are we ready to learn now? Okay. Let's learn. By the way, what I realized as we transitioned into learning the ultimate set, what I realized for me, I was never the top rep. And I was never breaking records and winning all the trophies. I was just super consistent. And the things that I was consistent in, one, I was consistent in sales. I never had a goose egg. I never had a 0 week. I always made sure I put up numbers every week. And for me, consistency was mainly the newsletter. When it was summertime, when I was focused on sales, I would always make sure I hit the newsletter, and I was consistent in my effort. So consistent in my sales, consistent in my effort. Every push week, I went after it. I never had a 10K push when I was in college. I had a 10K push afterwards. I had a couple of them, but I never had them in. I got close, but I worked my tail off, and for whatever reason, I just couldn't do it. But I always had that effort. And so consistency in sales, consistency in effort, and consistency in attitude. And meaning you're not always going to have the best week, and you're not always going to be the top on the reports, and you're not always going to be the person that everybody's like, oh my gosh, but you got to act as if. And you've got to show up with that attitude, that positivity, because it's important not just for you, because you're always a result of your emotional state. We all are, right? We are emotional beings, and our actions are largely affected by how we feel. So making decisions regardless of how you feel, showing up with that positive attitude, smiling and cheering for other people, even if you didn't have the week that you wanted, those types of things are important. Or just realizing that the past is the past, and you know what's ahead is always in your control. So consistency in sales, consistency in effort, and consistency in attitude. Those three things are really the pillars of our division and how you keep opening yourself up to all of those opportunities. All right, well, let's teach the ultimate close. I am going to put it on speaker view, and then I'm going to share my screen in a minute. But if you want to download, again, it's the tinyurl.com/RMD SLDM handouts. Let me bring up the first one that we're going to go over is the ultimate close, closing on the ultimate set. It's a couple pages in. And I'll show you on the screen just so you can see it. And this is what it looks like. So give me a thumbs up that we're either following or we can see it on my screen or both. All right, wonderful. So I'm going to stop the share for just a second. I don't want you to be distracted by the screen while I explain, but it's important to understand the philosophy of closing on the ultimate set and why we close on the ultimate set. So when I first started, I was deathly afraid of the ultimate because it was called the Ultimate 2000. It was brand new. It was scary, and I didn't cook at all. And all I used was the spatula spreader at home, and it was my favorite knife, and that was it, right? So the ultimate was like scary to me. It's also a little bit scary and overwhelming to the average customer, right? So I'm going to teach you how to close on the ultimate. I'm going to teach you how to start on the ultimate set, but the purpose of showing the ultimate set and starting with the ultimate set is not to sell the ultimate set. The purpose of showing and starting with the ultimate set is to sell more homemakers. It's important to put the homemaker and put the highest value set in perspective, but also you're going to give yourself a chance to sell ultimates and signature sets through this process. Now, in order to understand the philosophy of the ultimate set and why we start on that is because it's important to realize marketing philosophy and kind of just buyer instinct. So everybody has a number on their head. The number on the back of my head is the number 1. Everybody has a number. It's between 1 and 7. And you might know what your number is. And after we explain it, I think you'll have a pretty good idea of what your number is. But again, everybody's got a number on the back of their head. It's between 1 and 7. 1 and 7 represents the amount of times that somebody needs to say no before they feel comfortable saying yes. Okay, the number on somebody's head, the number on somebody's back of somebody's head, it doesn't change. It's like tattooed to the back of their head. It's the amount of times that somebody has to say no before they feel comfortable saying yes. So for me, I'm a number 1. What that means is that I don't need to say no to feel comfortable saying yes. I just say yes to everything. I buy everything. Okay. I buy, I'm the person that like at Bed Bath & Beyond, like the whole crate of like UGG blankets that's sitting right by the cash register because they want the impulse buyers to get it. Yes, I grab one every time I'm there. I have a massage chair at home. Like I was walking by Brookstone one day and I was like, oh, that's a really neat massage chair. I bought the one like on the floor because I was like, I need to take this home right now today. And it was just like, it like just impulse buy. I was going to the mall to buy something else. I was not trying to buy a massage chair that day. When I got my BMW, my most recent one, when the salesman was going over all the upgrades and all the things, he was like, do you want this? And I was like, yes. He's like, do you want this? And I was like, you know what, just all of the next 10 questions you're going to ask me, the answer is yes. So just check all the boxes and let's just do this. So I'm just a buyer. Does anybody know people like me that they're number 1 and they just buy everything? Has anybody seen somebody like that? Has anybody done a demo with somebody like that? They just bought right away. And it's like, you didn't even say the price and they're like, yep, I'll get that. How much is it? Like, that's a yes. And then that was the person you're like, I wish I started on the ultimate set because they were just going to buy whatever I showed them. Right. So people are number 1s and realize that the homemaker is 1326, right? If the homemaker was 1126 or if the homemaker was 1526, would you agree that you would have sold the exact same number of homemakers that you've sold so far? Right. And so I know some of you just started. So whether that's like 1 or 2 or 3, but for Allie, it's a ton. Price means nothing. And I want you to realize that, and especially when you're showing the ultimate set and for the purpose of this meeting, price means nothing. It's all about value. Now we know that the value of Cutco is so high. The value of Cutco is way higher than the price. So when we start with the ultimate set, what it's doing is it's putting all the sets in perspective. It's building unbelievable value. And realize that the price means nothing. It's all about the comfort and the value, the comfort of the number of what's on the back of somebody's head, and the value of what you're showing them. Now, if they see and understand the value of the ultimate set, they're going to see and understand the value of the signature set, and they'll see and understand the value of the homemaker, and they'll see and understand the value of even a paring knife, right? But you can't really present value of individual pieces unless they see the value of the sets. That's why we're passionate about showing the sets. And that's why we're going to show the ultimate set first. So again, number ones. So number one is somebody who's going to buy right away. Does anybody know somebody? Actually, let me give examples of a number two. A number two is somebody who has to say no at least once before they say yes. Anybody sell a galley set? Raise your hand if you've sold a galley set. Now, the galley set is like $1,000, right? Keep your hands raised if that person paid in full. If you bought a galley set and they paid in full, okay? So most people who buy, and they said that they didn't get the homemaker because it was too much money, right? That was the reason why they didn't get the homemaker. And then you drop down to the galley from $1,300 to $1,000, and they bought it and they didn't even use the 5-pay. So the reason wasn't that it was too much money. The reason was because they were more comfortable saying no before they said yes. My mom is a number two. When she first bought Cutco, she bought a galley set, not because she couldn't afford the homemaker, just she felt more comfortable saying no before she said yes. When I was growing up, my mom would have to go to 2 different stores or 3 different stores to find the right pair of shoes or whatever, because she could never say yes to the first thing that she saw. Anybody feel me on that? Anybody know somebody who's a number two? Did anybody have a situation ever where you had somebody say like a hard no to the homemaker where you were like, oh, okay, all right. And then they said yes immediately to the galley, and you're like, what the heck just happened? Like, has anybody had that, like a hard no and then like a complete turnaround and a yes, like an easy yes to the next one? So it's because it's about the comfort, right? It's about the comfort of what's on somebody's head. Anybody know somebody who is a 3 or 4? Somebody who's a shopper, they got to shop around, they got to look around a lot. Any of you like a 3 or 4? You got to look around and really do your due diligence. How many of you have sold an Essentials or a Studio or a Space Saver or anything like that? Sold one of those sets? So those people that you sold it to, they're a 3 or 4. It doesn't mean they couldn't afford a galley set, because those people probably paid in full anyway, right? So it means that they could have afforded a galley, and if they could afford that, they could afford a homemaker. So if they could buy a set, they could pretty much afford anything in the book, right? Like financially, right? Nobody's going to spend the last $500, the last $1,000 to their name on Cutco. As great as Cutco is, that would be a bad life decision, right? To spend the last $1,000. So if they can buy a set, they can buy whatever they want, right? And if they can pay in full for a studio, they could afford the ultimate set on the 5-pay, right? So it's all about that comfort. And anybody know somebody who's a number 7? Who knows, like shop, coupon clipper, and they're like, finally they'll make a decision on it. Okay. Any of you like that? Good. Oh gosh. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. Anybody's mom like that though? All right. How many of you have sold like one knife to somebody who's super wealthy? Like you drop down, you go down the whole process and you sell like 1 or 2, like small order. And you're like, I thought you were going to buy everything. And you bought like 1 or 2 knives. It doesn't mean you did a bad demo. They might just be a number 7. Right? They just could be that personality, and you did the perfect demo, and they just bought what their mind and their personality and their buying habits allowed them to buy. So the point is, everybody has a number on their head between 1 and 7, and you don't know what that number is until you do the demo. So for me, it turned into a game. I was like, all right, if they say no to that set, then all right, are you a number 2? Are you a galley set, Mrs. Jones? Oh, she says no. Ooh, all right, maybe you're number 3. All right, let's see if you're an Essentials. And it was just fun for me to try to figure that out as I was going through my presentation. So when you realize that, and by the way, Tony Robbins says that the average salesperson fails because they only ask twice. The average salesperson fails because they only ask twice. And he said the average sale is made on the 3rd or 4th ask. So the average human being is a 3 or 4. So if you start with the homemaker, and let me show you why we set up the demo the way we do. The homemaker is number 1, the galley is number 2, the Essentials and Studio and the starter sets are number 3. The pick 5 special, right? The customized set pick 5 special is number 4. The buy 3 get 1 free is number 5. The pick 2 get 1 free is number 6, and the reserve your buy now bonus, get 1 piece, Mrs. Jones, reserve your buy now bonus is number 7. So the reason why we have 7 steps to the drop down is because then that gives you the best opportunity to make a sale on every appointment or give yourself the highest closing percentage. Now, if you skip steps, let's say you go from the homemaker to the galley to individual pieces, you're only giving 3 options. So if somebody's a 4, 5, 6, or 7, those are no sales, right? And that's why we say you don't skip a step. You can never skip a step when you drop down, because it's not about the customer saying yes or no to that specific one, or if that's the best value. You might know in your head that they're not going to get a custom set, but you've got to get some of those no's out of the way. Does that make sense to everybody? So once you understand that philosophy, then you just step up and you say, okay, well, what if I started with the ultimate set? What if the ultimate set becomes number 1? And then the signature set becomes number 2. And then now the homemaker and the galley are 3 and 4. And if the average human being is a 3 or 4, that means as long as you do a good presentation, which obviously you will, then you're giving yourself an opportunity to sell a homemaker or a galley to all of your average everyday homeowners, which is exactly what the homemaker is designed for. But think about how many of your customers should have gotten the homemaker, but were intimidated because it was the first thing they saw and it just looked big. And they ended up getting something smaller. And then you're like, oh man, they would have been so happy with a full set. So what this is doing is it's allowing your customers to buy the best value for them. So it's not doing anything to them. It's not like salesy. It's really just giving them that shock value of this is the biggest one. That way it settles in. So by the time they get to the best value sets that should be the best option for them, they're at least comfortable enough to say yes. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Who wishes they had some demos you could go back to and start a little bit higher? And yeah, but that's why we have upgrades, right? That's why you can go back to your customers and we have upgrades. And okay. So the other thing is just the visual. Like when you looked at the homemaker in training, you saw it for the first time. Weren't you like, gosh, that's a big set of knives. And then you saw the ultimate set and you're like, oh, that's a big set of knives. And then you look back at the homemaker and you're like, oh, that's cute. Right. So realize the customer does the same thing. Customer does the same thing. So it's putting it in perspective and it's giving yourself that best opportunity. Now, who buys the ultimate set? There are 4 different types of people who buy the ultimate set. The first type of person that buys the ultimate set is somebody like me, somebody who just absolutely has no regard or governor for their expenses and or their account. And by the way, some people just, and I'm not like uber rich. I just have no, I can't stop it. I just like buying things. I just like toys. Anyway, so people like me who just like nice things, right? What's that, Allie?
Oh, I was going to say, can I just do a presentation for you?
Oh, yeah. See if you can sell me what I don't have.
Exactly.
I would love to see your demo, Allie. So people that just really like nice things, that have to have the best of everything, whether it's a personality thing or an ego thing, or they just really like nice things, right? So people like nice things, they have to have the best. People who entertain, right? So anybody that has guests over, that like the amount of money that people spend in their kitchens, the kitchen in any house is a minimum of $100,000 room, minimum. And think about all the things that people spend their money on, and like all the things that your average Mrs. Jones takes so much pride in, everything from the silverware to the curtains to the napkins to whatever. And having an ugly set of knives is such an embarrassment for Mrs. Jones. I had a customer buy the first ultimate that I ever sold was a customer that didn't cook. She had a food service bring food. She was a CEO of a, or CFO of a company. And she's like, I just don't have time. And she's like, I just want something nice to look at my counter because it's like my set of knives is ugly. So people that entertain, people that have a big family. So anybody that has a big family, the homemaker is just not a lot of knives, right? When you like, for me, even I live by myself and the homemaker is just not a lot of knives. And so, the more people cook and whether you cook or not, you'll realize the homemaker, it really is the essential knives for the average everyday homeowner. So if people cook a lot and have a big family, they're going to need more. And the fourth thing is like the most obvious that should, that would be just people that just love cooking, right? People that just love knives. Why not give yourself the greatest product in the world at the lowest price possible and getting great deals and also helping out an inspired college student on the way, or not, whatever, whether you're in school or not, it doesn't matter, right? So, and then the kicker, I said there's 4, there's actually 5. And the 5th one is just people that you know really well. And the reason why people you know really well buy it is because it's everybody's dream set and it's what everybody wants. But why don't they pull the trigger? Because, people oftentimes don't treat themselves until they have a reason or a rationalization. and it being you, that in their head they can say, normally I wouldn't do it, but because Erin's selling it, I'm gonna get that set. And they might say, I'm doing it because of you, or I just want to help you out. No way. This is the greatest set of knives in the history of the universe, and somebody's going to get, an opportunity to have it for the rest of their life. And fine, you could chalk it up to me, help me out, pay for college, whatever you want. But it's fun because people, it gives them an excuse to do something that they normally wouldn't do. You guys feel me on that? So don't feel bad when like friends, parents, and family friends, they buy ultimate sets and they buy big sets from you because they want to help you out. You're helping them out way more, because 30 years from now, you're not going to have the money that you made off the ultimate set, but they're still going to have their knives. All right, you guys ready to learn the script now? Is that a good setup? You understand the philosophy and understand why we do it? Okay, so nothing changes in your presentation. You don't have to do anything different in your presentation. The only thing that you're going to change is a little bit of an intro in the beginning. And then you're going to change the name and the prices of the set when you do the drop down. So the script is identical to the script that you have in your presentation. I'm not going to bring up the virtual demo website. You guys are very familiar with how it works. I'm going to reference page numbers, and the script is going to look exactly the same, but I'm not going to reference it on the site. So. All right, so again, the objective is to sell more homemakers. In the beginning of your presentation, we're going to add this one phrase. Now, where it says, as I said over the phone, you don't have to buy anything, but if you see something you like, you can get it today. You can buy sets or individual pieces, and we have tons of accessories and gifts. Now, that is already in your presentation. That line is already in there. Right after that line, you're going to add this. This is the line that I started adding when I started closing on the ultimate set. And by the time I was, and I should have mentioned this, by the time I was a junior, my average order was over $500. And my average set that I sold was a galley +6. And it was pretty much, anybody that didn't have Cutco already, I was selling them a galley +6 or bigger. And it was because I was starting on the ultimate set and putting it in perspective. So, all right, we're going to learn, we're going to add this phrase in the very beginning. Now, we add this phrase because when we get to the end of the presentation, we don't want to say, hey, Mrs. Jones, here's this giant big set. It's, a couple $1,000 and freak the customer out. Has anybody gotten to that point where the customer at the end, they were like, oh, I didn't know you were going to ask me to buy? Like, come on, it's a sales presentation, Mrs. Jones. Of course I'm going to ask you to buy. But we want to give them a heads up, and we want to let them know what's coming. So in the beginning of the presentation, we're going to say, at the end, I'm going to show you our 3 largest sets. The ultimate set for people who love to cook, the signature set for people who like to cook, and the homemaker, which is our basic set and is the best value for your average everyday family. So at the end of the presentation, I'm going to show you our 3 largest sets: the ultimate set for people who love to cook, the signature set for people who like to cook, and the homemaker, which is our basic set and is the best value for your average everyday family. So why do we say that phrase? And we say this right in the beginning, before you've even shown them a single knife. We let them know that we're going to show them at the end, because we want to let them just give a plant a seed. We also want to let them know ultimate, signature, homemaker, so they know those names. Now, when we say the homemaker, which is our basic set and the best value for your average everyday family, what do you think most people associate themselves with right away? Average everyday families. So in the beginning of your presentation, before you've even shown them a single knife, all of your customers just said to themselves, I'll probably end up getting a homemaker. So all of your customers, in the back of their heads, they're already selling themselves on a homemaker before you've even shown them the beginning of the presentation. So you're just kind of lodging that thought in the back of their head. And they're also putting the homemaker in perspective that it's not that big, right? So you're planting those seeds. Everybody feel me on that? Okay. And then you're going to say, Mrs. Jones, this was my key phrase that made a big difference and made the demo so comfortable and so fun. Mrs. Jones, I'm going to ask you to buy one of these sets. If you say no, don't worry, I won't be offended. But if you say yes, you'll have the greatest set of knives in the history of the universe for the rest of your life. And then I just smiled really big, really cheesy, and Mrs. Jones would laugh. And it was just and because what you're doing is you're saying, Mrs. Jones, I'm going to ask you to buy a lot of knives. I'm going to ask you to spend a lot of money today. Don't worry. You don't have to say yes, but if you do, it's going to be a really good decision, right? So you're teeing them up and you're letting them know this is how the presentation works. That way at the end, when you get to the ultimate set, you say, by the way, this was the first set I was going to show you. It's called the ultimate. And Mrs. Jones is like, yeah, okay, cool. Because she already knows it's coming, instead of saying, oh, that's a big set, right? So you're letting them know in the beginning of the presentation that you're going to be showing, and you're letting them know at the beginning of the presentation that you're going to be asking them to buy. You guys feel me on that? Okay. All right. Now the close, you don't do anything different in your presentation. Don't add anything about the ultimate pieces. Don't like, show off all like the cleaver and all that stuff. Here's the thing. If they're interested in the ultimate set, it's one of those 5 reasons that we talked about before. It's not because you describe the boning knife perfectly, right? It's not because you tell them all the uses of the vegetable knife. If they're interested in the ultimate, like, they're going to know more about the cleaver than you. They're going to know what it's used for. And if not, it's on the page and they can read it and figure it out. They're not buying the ultimate set because they're using those, 20 pieces or whatever, every one every day, or they're using all of them, right? So again, you don't have to be the expert on those knives. Don't oversell, because that's also going to make your presentation a lot longer, and it's going to take you off purpose. And the amount of people who end up buying the ultimate set is slim, right? It's really small. So that's not your objective. So you don't want to get distracted from the main point, which is the homemaker pieces. So still do the regular names and uses from the homemaker. Don't worry about showing off the ultimate pieces. Okay, unless they ask, or unless specifically there's like a piece or two that that they would love, that's fine, but don't spend all that time. Now, at the end of the presentation, this is going to sound familiar. The only thing that's going to change is the price inflation and the name of the set. Mrs. Jones, when something offers twice the quality and value and lasts twice as long, you would expect it to be twice the price. At twice the price, you're talking over $4,000 for a set of Cutco. Does that sound familiar? All right, so that's in your close on page 8. Now, instead of showing the homemaker, we're going to show the ultimate. So let me show you our ultimate set, which is twice as big. That would be a value of $8,000 in stores. Let me show you what you get for that. You get all 10 pieces from the homemaker set. And by the way, you would click on the ultimate set on the virtual demo, so it shows all the knives on the spread. All 10 pieces from our homemaker set, the Hardy slicer, the Rachel Ray knife. That's the Santoku knife. We just call it the Rachel Ray knife. She's a popular TV figure. The Rachel Ray knife, which is the Santoku, the vegetable knife to transport, the cleaver for big stuff, the salmon knife for filleting, the petite slicer for rolls and bagels, the boning knife, the cheese knife for soft foods, a 4-inch paring knife, 12 table knives, the shears, and all 3 size cutting boards. Now, Mrs. Jones, if you are considering a set, would you prefer the set with the table knives? And that's basically what's called a trial close. And it's getting an affirmative. You want to get a little yes before the big yes. You're basically warming up the yes voice. So Mrs. Jones, if you were considering a set, would you get it with the table knives? Oh yeah, I would. Right. So you're warming up the yes voice, and you're kind of getting the brain directed in the yes direction. The best thing about this set is it doesn't cost $8,000. In fact, it's not even $4,000. The ultimate set is only $2,739, but most of our customers take advantage of our 5-month interest-free investment option, which is only $594 a month and includes shipping and tax. Now, as a buy now bonus, if you get this set today, I will buy you a $600 shopping spree worth of free stuff from the back of my book. That's more than the first payment. By the way, $600 shopping spree, we put it in terms of retail value for the shopping spree. Now for you, CPO is in terms of bonus points. $600 correlates to about 400 points, and 400 bonus points with your divide by 5 method, it works perfectly with your bonus point system. So what we don't want to do is say, hey, let's flip through and look at all the different free stuff that you can get, because again, the point is really to show the ultimate set, to put the homemaker in perspective. If they're interested in the ultimate set, then after they make the decision, then you can go in and look at the free stuff options, but you just want to present it as a shopping spree. Everybody loves a shopping spree, and you say, I will buy you, because whenever you give something for free, even though you don't directly pay for it, it does take it off of your CPO, which lowers your commissions. So you are buying them that shopping spree, even though it's a fraction of the value of the set. You are paying for that for your customer, and they appreciate that. So Mrs. Jones, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you. Would you like to try it out for a couple of weeks, risk-free, and get your free gifts? You smile and nod. And sometimes, and the answer, you don't know what it's going to be. Sometimes they could say, huh, and they could think about it. Sometimes they could say, oh no, that's way too big. Or they could say, gosh, no way. Or whatever, there's a million things they can say. And whatever they say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You just smile and nod and you roll with it. And every once in a while when somebody's like, yeah, I'll take that. And then you're like, okay, all right, this just happened, right? And then that was when it happened for the first time. Once you start getting on a roll, you just expect that because once you have that confidence, you're like, this is the greatest thing ever and the best value ever. Of course, you get, you want more people to get it. But anyway, the point is you're not expecting a yes every time. In fact, you're kind of expecting a no more often than not, right? So if they say, no way, it's way too much, you say, no problem. Is that a little bit too big or a little bit too much? This was my key phrase because I really wanted to find out how far away I was, right? Is it a little bit too big or a little bit too much? And they're going to say, Aubrey, it's a lot of it too big, or it's a lot of it too much, or it's both. Or they might just say, hey, Aubrey, it's a little bit too much, or it's a little bit too big, because then you know what your drop down process, how your excitement level should be as you drop down with Signature and Homemaker, because otherwise, are you just getting the 1 through 7 out of the way to get to their number? Or is there a chance that you could, pull out your Silver Cup specials? So if it's a little bit too big or a little bit too much, why not pull out those Silver Cup specials and say, hey, we've got this crazy deal on the Ultimate set. This trade-in special, the Silver Cup special. So you have an opportunity where you can use those specials and you could use the trade-in specials as a half drop down if you see it feels necessary. But most of the time with the Ultimate, it's going to be a hard no. And you're just like, all right. And you just jump down to the Signature set. So just use your judgment. But that question gets you to figure out how far away you are from that sale. Make sense on that? Okay. So no problem. Let me show you our set for people who like to cook. It's called our Signature set. It has the 10 basic homemaker pieces, the Hardy slicer, the Santoku knife, the cheese knife, the shears, 10 table knives, and all 3 size cutting boards. The best thing about this set is it's less than the Wusthof set. The Signature set is only $19.95, but most of our customers take advantage of our 5-month interest-free investment option, which is only $433 a month and includes shipping and tax. As a buy now bonus, if you get this set today, I will buy you a $450 shopping spree worth of free stuff from the back of my book. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you, would you like to try it out for a couple weeks risk-free and get your free gifts? And smile and nod. By the way, $450 shopping spree correlates to about 300 points. That's perfect with your divide by 5 method. And what are they going to say? If they're a number 2, they might buy the Signature set, right? And then some people who you sold galleys to, those galley sets are now Signature sets, and your average order is through the roof, and they're going to be much happier with their set long-term, right? And you get to give them a ton of free stuff. So, all right, good. Now, if they say no still, no problem. Is it still too big? Is it still a little bit too much? No problem, Mrs. Jones. Let me show you our basic set for people who have to cook. It's called our Homemaker set. It is the 10 basic pieces you'll use regularly, 8 table knives, the medium cutting board. And the best thing about this set is it's about half the price of the Wusthof sale price. The Homemaker set is only $13.26, but most of our customers take advantage of our 5-month interest-free investment option. It's only $289 a month, Mrs. Jones, and it includes shipping and tax. As a buy now bonus, if you get this set today, I'll still buy you a $300 shopping spree worth of free stuff from the back of my book. That's about 200 points. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you. Would you like to try it out for a couple weeks risk-free and get your free gifts? Smile and nod. Now, do you see that if somebody was a number 2 or 3 or 4, that seeing the Ultimate, seeing the Signature, and now seeing the Homemaker gives them more of an opportunity to feel comfortable saying yes? Because they got no's out of the way. They also saw the visual of the Ultimate and the Signature set and how the Homemaker compares to it. And even seeing the price going from, think about the monthly price, going from $594 a month to $433 a month to $289 a month, just the perspective of seeing the visual. And I know that we teach in training to write prices down on the wish list and show your customer. With Zoom, I'm sure all of you do this by now, is you can do share screen. There's a whiteboard feature on Zoom. So if you're using Zoom for your presentations, you can write out those prices on your wish list. Cool. And if you're not doing that, that'd be a fun thing to play around with. All right. Mrs. Jones, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you. Would you like to try it out for a couple weeks risk-free and get your free gifts? And smile and nod. Do we feel confident in the homemaker close? Now, my bread and butter was that, but I sold it because of this. I sold so many galley sets, because if they still said no to the homemaker, I'd be like, all right, no problem, Mr. Jones. Let me just show you the starter set. It's called the Galley Plus 6. It's a few less knives for a lot less money. And it's still going to take care of everything that you need in the kitchen. It's got the paring knife for the air, the trimmer for the small stuff, the spatula for sandwiches, a meat knife, a serving piece, a bread knife, and a chopping knife. And it still comes with 6 table knives. It's a Consumer's Digest Best Buy. Mr. Jones, this set is incredible. It's only like, not, what is it, 919 or 1,000, whatever. And it's only like, $200 a month for 5 months. Mr. Jones, I can still give you the super shears for free. You want to just go ahead and get that one instead? And that was basically like my galley close. And that was if I felt confident, like I knew that she wanted a set, but she was like still a little bit on the edge. Like I would just be so confident with the galley, because at that point it's like just shopping with a friend. And it's like, hey, let's get this one. This will be a great fit. And I sold so many galleys because at that point it was the 4th option. And by the way, on the bottom it says incorporating the trade-in special. So if the customer is on the edge, at any point you can incorporate the trade-in specials, which is where you give the discounted price with the discounted table knives instead of the free stuff. We'll review that in a few minutes, but I want to make sure we shared that. Questions or feedback or thoughts on closing on the ultimate set?
I have a quick question, Drew.
Mm-hmm.
So the way you do when you're showing them their code demo, would you be telling them, because when we go through the set options, it goes from the price comparison, you do that little spiel, and it goes straight into the Homemaker Plus 8. So would you be going, instead of going over just one more slide, we're going to go over 2 slides, and we're going to start with Ultimate?
Exactly 100%. And it's on the page break on your version, the My Vector demo slide, it's page 8 and 9. So at the bottom of page 8, where it's the $4,000, that is where you insert this script. And it's basically the same thing. It's just changing the name of the set. So exactly. And then on the slides for them, instead of clicking to the homemaker, they click to the side that has the ultimate, and you have them blow up the ultimate set. And if you're doing the Zoom, then you show it for them. Exactly.
Okay.
Are there questions or feedback?
I had another quick question. So I noticed that kind of like at the beginning of the one you just showed us, it said at the end, I'm going to show you these 3.
Mm-hmm.
But like we started out with the homemaker, so I was kind of confused, like what that meant by like at the end,
So that line's in the beginning of the presentation. So that should go in. A good question. I should have been more clear on this. So that phrase, you're saying this on page 1. So page 1 is after you build rapport, and it's in the introduction when you're talking about the background of the company and you, and then so it's the report part, and then where it says, as I said over the phone, that line is already in your presentation, and that's in the beginning. So when we say at the end, you're saying at the end of the presentation. So at the end of showing you Cutco, I'm going to show you our 3 largest sets.
Okay, got it now.
Cool.
I thought it meant kind of like after going through every piece in the homemaker and explaining the homemaker in full, and then going like down to the ultimate and signature. So that clears it up though.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of just telling them how the presentation works. Good question.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other question or feedback? We feel like this will be a good addition to our presentations. Good. As soon as I started closing on the ultimate set, my average order increased by $100. My average order at the time was like $250. It went up to $350 immediately, just because when you start higher, you end higher, and you're giving yourself more opportunities for more sets. So just by practicing this, by the way, it would take maybe 2 or 3 times role playing it to feel comfortable. And then if you want to print it off and just have it next to you, that way you have your both scripts. But I would practice a couple times, role play a couple times, either with yourself or with somebody in your office before you do your first presentation with it. But typically we find that once you learn this, within your first couple presentations afterwards, you're selling a pretty big set. So I hope you enjoy. All right, next skill set. Go ahead, Josh.
Sorry, Drew, one more question. So, as I was saying, we're going to do the video, then we're going to do homemaker set pieces, and then restart with the ultimate, right? Okay.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, and page 8, because you're going to do the comparison with Wusthof, with the Wusthof comparison, right? And then feed right into it. Exactly.
Okay.
After the
and
homemaker pieces.
we're not changing order on anything. We still go through everything. Right. The only thing we're changing is instead of going straight after the comparison to the homemaker, we'll be going over 2 slides to the ultimate and then go backwards before we go forward again.
Exactly. Yeah, on the slides, just that way you're showing it on the PowerPoint on the
the way the PowerPoints are going to play out.
Totally. Yep, but exactly on your script, your demo doesn't change at all. All you add is that those 2 lines in the beginning, and at the end, you're just changing the name and the price of the set as you go through your normal script. Cool. All right. Well, the next skill set that I want to teach you is how to sell to Wusthof and Schön and Henkel's owners. Anybody interested in learning how to sell more to Wusthof and Henkel's and Schön owners? Has anybody had a demo where, or even a phone call where over the phone your customer said to you, they're like, I'm not buying, I have Henkel's, or I have Wusthof, or I have Good Knives, I'm not buying, you know, even before you set up the presentation? Has anybody had a demo where like the first thing, like you jump on Zoom or, you know, you meet with your customer and immediately the first thing they say is like, I'm just watching, I'm not buying? Anybody have one of those that they have their blockers up? Okay. So if you have a customer that the reason, or their rationalization, the reason why they tell you that they're not buying is because they have good knives, they feel they have good knives, that's totally normal. They should have knives, and hopefully they have good knives, because if they have good knives, it means they understand the value. And that's so key. If they bought Henkel's or Wusthof or Schön in the past, it means they understand the importance and the value of having good quality knives in their kitchen. So I think it's easier to sell to Henkel's, Wusthof, and Schön owners than it is to sell to people who have Chicago and crappy knives, because then it's a value proposition. And if they see that they can get just as good or better of a value with Cutco, then it makes sense. It's easy to sell to people with crappy knives too, because crappy knives just, you know, they don't work. Henkel's, Wusthof, and Schön owners, it's important to handle the objection and break down those barriers before you start the presentation. Otherwise, they're going to have that force field and they're going to have that barrier their whole time, and they're not going to be open to the buying atmosphere. So what's important in these situations is to open your customers up to the buying atmosphere and give them permission to say yes and make them feel comfortable. So how we do that is we handle objections before they come up, because at the end of the presentation, Jessica doesn't want to say to her customer, hey, do you want to go ahead and buy this set? And she's like, well, Jessica, I would love to, but I really have good knives and I don't need new knives, right? And you don't want to figure that out at the end of the presentation. You want to be able to handle that before it comes up. So handling that objection and making your customer feel comfortable, you can do it in a number of ways. But what we're going to do is just follow a quick script that has like 3 or 4 sentences that handles all the objections and does it for you. Have you ever been in an argument with somebody, even if it's like a friendly argument, if like, let's just saying like best movie of all time, or like what your favorite restaurant is, like, and if you have a different opinion than somebody, you ever notice there's that force field in between, and like you can't get your point across, and like that person's not listening and they're just thinking about the next thing that they're going to say. And, you know, or if you're in like a serious argument, like you're not listening to that person, you're just thinking about what you want to come back with, right? So it's important to bring down all those walls and bring down those barriers before you have that conversation. So for these purposes, we just want to let the customer know that it's okay to buy Cutco, even if they have good knives already, or even if they feel like they have good knives. So I'm going to show you the script. It's in your packet, but I'll share it on my screen here. Okay, so in the beginning, we're going to say to the customer, Mrs. Jones, I know you already have a great set of knives that you really like, so it'd be wrong of me to try to sell you an entire new set. I'm still going to do a full presentation and show you everything because Cutco is awesome. At the end, I'm going to highlight some supplemental pieces that most Henkel's and Wusthof owners add to their set. We also have a ton of other gifts, of other gadgets, accessories, and cookware that other knife companies don't even make. By the way, Many Henkels and Wusthof owners end up getting a full set of Cutco because it's awesome stuff. They just give their current set to a family member as a gift. We also have a really sweet trade-in special where customers can trade us their current set for a really big discount on Cutco. All right, now that's a large package that we got to unravel because there's a lot in those two little stump messages. So where do we say that and where do we put that and why do we do it? We're going to put these two phrases, these two sections in the beginning of the presentation, right after or right before. It depends on what your comfort is, right after, right before that ultimate set plug that we just went over. So this is in the beginning of the presentation on page 1 at the bottom, as you're transitioning into the demo. This is the "oh, by the way," because and again, you could do it right after you talk about the ultimate set and those 3 sets. And if you say no, don't worry. But if you say yes, so you can insert this before or after, depending on your comfort. I don't know if it makes a difference, but if it feels like to you, you decide. All right. So here's why we say that. We want the customer, as I said before, to go into the presentation with the expectation of it's okay to buy Cutco. So we give a bunch of examples and we show them why owning Henkels and Wusthof and Schön is not it's not a reason to not buy Cutco. It's even more of a reason to buy Cutco. All right. When you tell them it would be wrong of me to try to sell you an entire new set, what this does is it brings down that barrier. And your customer is going to say, gosh, Josh understands me. He knows me. I told him over the phone that I have good knives, or I just told him a minute ago that I have really good knives, or I just bought a set of knives. So he respects me. He understands this good. He's not going to try to shove these knives down my throat, right? That's why you say that, because you're respecting what they had told you. Even if they don't tell you that, but you notice, let's say you're doing the demo, you're in their kitchen, you just notice a fancy set behind them. You can say, oh, by the way, what kind of knives do you have? That's a good question to ask somebody before you start a demo. Like, you're selling them knives, so you should probably know what type of knives they use. So during your rapport, you can ask them about their knives. And if you get the sense that they're kind of attached, or they feel like they've already spent a lot of money, or any of those reasons, that's where you insert this. So I'm still going to do a full presentation and show you everything because Cutco is awesome. Why does Josh say that? Because he wants his customer to know why he's going through all the details, because he loves Cutco and he wants to show it off. It's not because he's trying to sell the customer on everything. It's just because this is what he gets paid to do and it's part of his presentation. At the end, I'm going to highlight some supplemental pieces that most Henkels and Wusthof owners add to their set. That word "most" is so important. I sold so many sets to Wusthof and Henkels owners when I was in college, because when I let them know that, yeah, of course Henkels and Wusthof owners buy more Cutco than anybody else, because they appreciate good knives. So people that know what they're doing in the kitchen, people that know how to cook, of course they deserve Cutco, right? So I would have these conversations with my customers and I would say, I'm glad you've got good knives, because it means you know what you're doing and you're going to appreciate Cutco even more. Whether you buy a set or you buy pieces, or you buy nothing, you appreciate it. Anyway, so I'm going to highlight some supplemental pieces that most Henkels Wusthof owners add to their set. And we say supplemental pieces because we want them to understand that you can still buy Cutco even if you have a full set of something else. If Josh's customer bought a Schön set an hour ago, there are still going to be pieces of Cutco that would be a great addition. And we also have a ton of other gadgets, accessories, and cookware that other knife companies don't even make. Wusthof and Henkels and Schön, they don't have an entertainer pack. They don't have an ice cream scoop. They don't have a cheese knife. They don't have pots and pans. They don't have any of the accessories that we do. The biggest order that I had with a customer who didn't buy any knives was like $4,000. It was like cookware and flatware and all the accessories. They didn't buy a single sharp object. It was like a $4,000 order with nothing sharp. And that was my biggest order. And it was to somebody who had a Henkel set. So you can sell big sets of Cutco. You can sell a lot of Cutco, even if they're not buying knives, but again, ton of supplemental pieces. By the way, many Henkels and Wusthof owners end up getting a full set of Cutco because it's awesome stuff. They just give their current set to a family member as a gift. This is the out. This is called the out. So if your customer, let's say Jessica's customer just bought a set and she's attached to it and she can't rationalize giving it up. She's like, I just got this a year or two ago. It's still in good shape. I just can't bring myself to buy a new set. But my daughter's going away to college, or my son is going to school, or we have a camper, or we have a lake house. I can give those knives to my son or daughter. I can put those knives in the guest house. I can whatever, and I can buy myself the set that I really want. And the amount of customers that I had that bought sets for themselves because they felt good about giving their knives to somebody else that they weren't duplicating, because they don't want to overbuy, right? They don't want to buy something that they're already getting use out of. But if they can give it to somebody else, gosh, it gives your customers permission to buy the set they really want. You guys feel me on that? Cool. And then the trade-in special, we also have a really sweet trade-in special where customers can trade us their current set of Cutco for a really big discount on Cutco. So the trade-in special is my favorite. And I'll go back to this in a minute, but I want to show you the trade-in special. Trade-in special means that any set that comes with table knives, instead of giving the free stuff, you can give the table knives for free. So I remember my first July 4th, and I was just telling the story the other day, so it's present in my mind, but my first July 4th, I sold 4 Studio Plus 4s on the trade-in special. We had this big promo and this flyer for it, but it was for customers who really wanted a set, but they wanted to pay like the price of pieces, right? And it was like, and so if a customer feels like they really want a set, but it's a little bit out of their price range, on any set you do, if it's more about the price versus the free stuff, and it's more just about that dollar amount, you can, instead of giving the free stuff, discount for the value of the table knives by selling a basic set, but putting it in a block with the table knife slots. There's a special code, it's the letter B. If Erin writes up an order for a galley set, she could write up a basic galley set, and the item number is right here on the screen, and you'll have it in your packet. It's 2007, and then the color. And if she puts a B on it, it means the customer is paying $739 for the galley set for the basic galley, but it's coming in a block with 6 empty table knife slots. So Erin gives away, instead of giving away the super shears or kitchen tools or, you know, entertainer pack or any of the gadgets, she can give away those 6 table knives as the free item. Now it takes a hit on your CPO, but it's worth it rather than dropping down, because if she dropped down to an essential set, even the essential set, just the regular price for the essential set, and giving away free stuff, she's going to have higher CPO on a galley set with a trade-in special versus dropping down and giving away free stuff. So it's better for your customer and it's better for you. So that's neat, because you can do that, as you see here on the screen. You could do that with the ultimate set. You could do it with the signature set. You could do it with any set that has table knives. You can do that trade-in special. I made a living off the trade-in special when I was in college. So many, it's Curtis JQ, the #1 rep all time in company history with residential sales. He will tell you that most of his sets he does with the trade-in special, because he's adding on gifts and accessories. So he says, if you do this, I'll discount the table knives if you add on this, this, and this. So his orders are huge, but he's using this to incentivize customers to either build up their order, or if they're on the edge, because he's so passionate about his customers buying sets that he'd rather them have a set versus individual pieces. All right, so let's go back up to Wusthof and Henkel's owners. All right, so does that trade-in special, does that make sense? We called it the secret weapon, but that's, if you have a customer that's on the edge, you can use that trade-in special. And I just say, hey, because you already own Henkel's, I can give you this crazy discount on Cutco because you're trading in your set. Basically, Mrs. Jones, all you have to do is give me your least favorite knife in your set, so I can show off how weird these other knives are and how they don't cut as well as Cutco, and you just make a joke of it. The idea we call it a trade-in is because in econ in college, what you'll learn eventually is that there's no such thing as a free lunch. You can't get something without giving something. So it's really just like an emotional thing. Like, all I have to do is give you the worst knife in my set, and then I get this big discount. Because it's virtual, you're not like, you don't need them to like mail you a knife or like drop it off at your doorstep or anything. Don't like, it's just, all it is the concept. So you can even just have them like take a knife and like watch them throw it in the trash just for fun. Their least favorite one. Anyway, that's why we call it a trade-in. But it's really just a discount just to hook customers up when you're in a situation where you're on the edge. All right, now here are the supplemental pieces. So let's say somebody just bought a set yesterday and they're attached to their Henkel's. They love it. Let's say they're just absolutely in love. They love the way it feels, as weird as that sounds, and their straight edges and all that. But the reason why people love Henkel's and Wusthof and Schön is because they're basically, it's a full set of chef knives. Like the Wusthof set, it's the same knife in like 9 different inch dimensions. I don't know if you've ever seen those sets. It's basically just like, and Henkel's too, it's like the paring knife, and then a little bit bigger one, then it kind of morphs into a chef knife, but it's the same shaped knife, just different lengths, right? So people like it because they've got really good straight edges. That's what they're known for, German steel. So if I were to oversell the chef knife and say, Mrs. Jones, our chef knife is the greatest thing in the world. You have to get it. You have to get it. You have to get it. It's going to feel like pushing in their face, right? If they just bought Shun, because that's the reason why they spent a couple $1,000s on Shun, is because they've got a really good chef knife. That's pretty much it. That's what they're known for. So our chef knife is better. We know that. But you don't want to be in their face and you don't want to be overwhelming. So we promote it, we talk about it, but these are the supplemental pieces that you want to get like overexcited about. The trimmer. Why the trimmer? It's got the double D edge. If they get that, they're never going to use another knife in their life. And 2 months later, they're going to call you an upgrade to the rest of the set. The spatula spreader. Nobody makes a spatula spreader. It's unique and signature for Cutco. It's such a neat piece, so versatile, and no other company in the world has a knife like that. Slicer. Our bread knife. If you've ever, you guys have all done virtual presentations, but back in when I used to cut rope and with like a Henkel's Wusthofer Shun serrated edge knife, it is like, it's hard to not laugh when somebody's trying to cut rope with a serrated edge Henkel's knife. It's just not that good, right? So having a good bread knife is so essential, and it's the most complained about knife in the kitchen. Traditional cheese knife, if you haven't used the Cutco cheese knife before, find a way to use it. It's the most unbelievable knife. It's the sharpest knife in the world. The micro D edge, this thing is nuts. And then table knives. Everybody loves the Cutco table knives. They just melt through leather like butter. The Henkel's Wusthof and Shun table knives, they're not, they're great companies and they're great sets, and it's the best stuff you can buy in stores. We have the privilege of knowing Cutco just absolutely craps on everybody. They're great, but gosh, there's nothing that compares to the Cutco table knives. Does anybody have the Cutco table knives at home? Does anybody use Cutco table knives? They're so, almost all of you, right? They're so good. They're so good. Like at a minimum, anybody who owns Henkel's, Wusthof, and Shun, they need a set of 8 Cutco table knives, minimum. Right. And the more passionate you are about that, the more excited you are, the more they see that too. All right. That, by the way, that right there, are any of those pieces overwhelming? Because even if they just bought a set of Shun, they would still use all those pieces, and it's not a replacement for anything that they have. It's all supplemental. That's a $700 order. And even with a big deal, you can give them, you know, it's like a $400 or $500 CPO order, even with a crazy deal like that. That's not even including any of the gifts and accessories and gadgets and cookware or anything like that. Is that helpful? Okay. What do you think we should learn next? You guys want to learn how to do upgrades? Can I teach you how to do upgrades and how to do the wish list and take somebody from a couple pieces to a full set? And this is not going to be like Curtis or Blake or Charlie teaching the wish list. This is like the simple, like foolproof, bulletproof system that just gets it done. And this was like my bread and butter. And this is why I was able to do so many upgrades. By the time I was like a sophomore, like 80% of my appointments were with Cutco owners. And by the time I was a junior, most of what I did was service calls and sharpening and upgrades. And so what I'm going to teach you here was just my very simple 4-step process of how I did upgrades for customers. Now, when we do a presentation for a customer that already owns Cutco, we want to do a full presentation unless they already have a full set. If they only have 2 or 3 or 4 pieces, act as if they don't have Cutco, because they forget everything that they knew about it. They use all the wrong tool for the wrong job. Has anybody seen somebody that had like 2 or 3 pieces and they like forgot about the forever guarantee and they like didn't even know, like they're, oh, I think I have Cutco, right? So if they only have a couple pieces, act as if they don't have Cutco. Plus, if they're going to buy a set, it's a better deal to buy a set in full because it's like 10 to 20% discount versus doing an upgrade. If they only have 2 or 3 pieces, it'll cost more to upgrade from that to a set than it would just to buy the full set. Now, if they have duplicate pieces in that case, then it's their favorite knives, so they can have duplicates, or they can get a gift box and give it away as a gift to somebody. So they can do any of those options. Now, if they have, I always say if it's like 4 of the bigger pieces or like 5 or more pieces, then you want to do an upgrade presentation and you want to do more of an abridged presentation. Because if they have 5 or more pieces, it means they're only using Cutco, they're not using any other knives, they're just using these products and they're in love with it. Now, if they're in love with Cutco and they're only using Cutco, do you think you need to do a full presentation and go over all the details that you had gone over in the past? No. So do you need to watch the video again with them? No. In the very beginning, do you think you need to go over like all the company details and that, as much? Not really. So here's where you could chop it a little bit. If you want to watch the video, you could. It builds value and it's fun, but it's 11 minutes of them seeing, you know, what they already have, right? So I would, if somebody has a lot of Cutco, what you would do in that case is just interview them about their Cutco. Mrs. Jones, tell me what you like about your Cutco. How long have you had it? Tell me what you like to use it for. Tell me about what you know, what type of cooking you do. How do you love the handles? How do you love the forever guarantee? That one specifically, the forever guarantee, is a big one that you've got to remind them of, because most customers forget about the guarantee. So make sure you can even bring them to the cutco.com website to show it, but make sure you review the guarantee, ask them if their knives are sharp, and help them understand how they can send it back to get sharpening. All right, so once you do that, the part of your presentation, this is where Josh was saying before, where you get to the names and uses of the homemaker pieces. When you get to that page, what you want, even though you're on screen, is you want to have your customers take out all the knives that they have. So that way it's sitting in front of them. And if you could get it visual, so you can see if you're like, you know, in front of their, you know, their table, because you want to see what they have. Now, as you go through the presentation, as you go through the names and uses, what you will do is Josh will say the first tool in your set is your paring knife. If Mrs. Jones has the paring knife, you just say, Mrs. Jones, what do you use your paring knife for? And you can have a notebook and you can take notes or just use mental notes. Mrs. Jones says, I use it for this, 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 and this, and I love it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. Mrs. Jones, the next tool in your set is your trimmer. I noticed that you don't have the trimmer yet. Let me tell you about the trimmer. And then you do the names and uses and you explain the trimmer. And you just kind of gauge where their eyes perk up, and you can take some mental notes on a wish list. But as you go through, say, Mrs. Jones, if you had the trimmer, would you use it? Simple as that. If you had it, would you use it? And they say, yeah, sure. Okay, cool. And Ms. Jones, the next tool in your set is your spatula spreader. You have the spatula spreader. Tell me what you like about it. And what you're doing is you're helping your customer build value in the pieces that she already has, because she's remembering why she bought Cutco in the first place, why she invested in Cutco in the first place, and why she loves her knives. And then you're basically just filling in the gaps, right? So you're going through all the pieces, the ones that Mrs. Jones has, you ask about it, the ones that they don't have, then you explain it. Cool. Now at the end, same thing as you did before with the ultimate, signature, and homemaker. You say, Mrs. Jones, we've got our 3 largest sets. You know, I'm going to go through the sets. Now, if I could, here's I should say, this is the phrase that I would use. And I might have to, I am going to share my screen because I'll show you where to find this. It's going to be on myvectordemo.com. So let me share my screen. I'll show you exactly where to find the script. So when you get to the end, you're not going to do page 8 and 9. So Josh, the difference, like when you would go to the ultimate set, we said page 8 and 9 with comparing to Wusthof and Ankles and Schön. If they already have a set of Cutco, there's no need to do that because they're not going to be buying a full set of Cutco. Now, if you want, and this is what I always did, my strategy was, Mrs. Jones, just because it's part of my presentation, I'm going to go through my normal script, and I'm even going to ask you to buy the set that you already have half of, just because it's fun for me. And also, I want to be able to show you what the normal price is. So I would go through pages 8 and 9, and this was like half the time I would do this, unless they already had like a homemaker. So if it was an upgrade, I would just do the regular close, and I would say, Mrs. Jones, I'm going to ask you to buy the set that you have half of, and all I'm doing this is just for you to get perspective. Now, if you like this set, then basically I'll give you the key phrase in a second. So that's one version. The second version is page 13. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the Gifts and Accessories tab on your virtual presentation. You're going to scroll down to the bottom where it says page 13, and this is the wish list. So this is going to be for somebody that you're doing an upgrade, or you could just for fun, you can do pages 8 and 9 and just say, I'm going to ask you to buy that set. Now, either way, you're going to get to the point where you're going to say, Mrs. Jones, let me just make, I'll go slow so you guys can jot it down. It's not on the screen here because this is SLDM stuff. Mrs. Jones, if I could give you a deal you can't refuse, would you consider upgrading to this set today? Mrs. Jones, if I could give you a deal you can't refuse, and you have to say it with a smile on your face, because this is like, you're gonna have fun. Mrs. Jones, if I could give you a deal you can't refuse, would you consider upgrading to this set today? Right? And it's very, very laid back, right? It's not like, hey, do you want to upgrade if I can give you a great deal? It's, hey, Ms. Jones, if I could give you a deal you can't refuse, would you consider upgrading to this set today? And every single time you say that, the response is going to be, without fail, well, it depends on the deal. Every single time. And she says it with a smile on her face. And basically, that's Mrs. Jones's challenge back to you to figure out a great deal. Does that make sense? So I'll read page 13, but that phrase, whether you do pages 8 and 9, and or start with the ultimate as we described before, and I would do ultimate signature homemaker. Mrs. Jones, here's the ultimate, here's what comes in it, here's the normal price of the homemaker, the ultimate set. Because you already have 5 knives, it's not going to be this much, but let me work out the math. If I could give you a deal you can't refuse on the ultimate set, Mrs. Jones, would you consider upgrading to this set today? And she says, well, it depends on the deal. Okay, no problem. And if she says no, say, no problem. Let me show you the signature set. Here's what comes in the signature. Mrs. Jones, if I could give you a deal you can't refuse in the signature set, would you consider upgrading today? And she'd say, well, okay, tell me the deal. And then it gives you permission. So you just drop down, and each time you just have fun with it. And you say, hey, if I could give you a deal you can't refuse on this set, would you consider upgrading? And you do that each level that you drop down. And eventually she's going to say, okay, yeah, show me the deal, or it depends what it is. And then what you do is you have time to work out the numbers on your wish list. So whether you write it down in your notebook or you use the Zoom whiteboard function and you write it down on there, then it gives you time to work out the math. So here's the 4-step process of how the math works. Number 1 is you're going to write everything down. Okay. Number 1 step is you're going to write everything down. What that means is you're just going to write down all the things that you need to upgrade to the set. So if Mrs. Jones already has 5 pieces of the homemaker, you're going to write down the other 5 pieces of the homemaker. But don't forget, when you upgrade, certain things don't come with it automatically. So the cutting board doesn't come automatically, so you got to make sure you have that on the list. The sharpener for the straight edge doesn't come automatically, so you got to make sure you add that to the list. The wood block, right? So the whatever set wood block, you've got to make sure you put on there. And then the table knives too. So don't forget the table knives, and make sure you have the right quantity. So you're going to write down all the knives, the block, the sharpener, the cutting board, the table knives, and you're going to write down all those pieces. Now, some people would say at this point, do you go into gifts and accessories and do you start incorporating all those things first? Or do you just get the set done and then work on gifts and accessories later? It depends on the customer. If you know that the upgrade is guaranteed, if they're like, okay, I know I'm doing this, and you also know that they're probably going to be interested in the gifts and accessories, you could do it all as one big package, because you guys you're good enough at this point at CPO and bonus points that you can figure out how to use the system to get them the best deal possible. Now, if you're not sure, if they're kind of like, it depends on the deal, and you're not totally sure that they're sold on that upgrade yet, don't worry about gifts and accessories until afterwards, and then just make the deal a smoking deal just on the knives, right? So if you know they're going to get the upgrade, you can use the free stuff as the free stuff. If they're kind of on the edge, or if it's going to be a little bit of a long shot, then just do the discount with the knives. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. So you're going to write everything down, number 1. Number 2 is you're going to get the total price of what it would be normally. The total retail price. So if Jessica's got, 5 knives, the block, the cutting board, all that on the list, let's say to upgrade to the homemaker, let's say for this situation, for this one, it would be $900. Okay. So if Jessica's going to say, okay, Mrs. Jones, you already have these 5 pieces in the set, to get everything else in the homemaker set, normally it would cost $900 for the retail price of all these things. So you write all those things down, write the retail price. Step number 3 is figure out what 70% of that number is. Figure out what 70% of that number is. So if 900 was that number, then we're going to multiply it by 0.7, and that's $630. So in my mind, that's the target number that I want to get down to. So we can't just discount Cutco, right? You can't just give like a 10%, 20%, 30% discount. You can't do that, but you can give away free stuff that simulates that same discount. So if we get to 70% of what the normal retail price would be, that's a 30% discount for Mrs. Jones' retail price. If you give a Cutco owner a 30% discount on an upgrade, it's almost impossible for them to say no. That's the number that it's like, okay, it would cost normally $900 to get the homemaker upgrade, and today it's only going to cost me $630. Of course I'm going to do that, right? It's like the no-brainer, easy decision upgrade, and that's the 70% rule. So what we do is we just start taking things off the list to get closer to that number, one knife at a time or one item at a time. You guys feel me on that? So that's why we use the 70% rule. Now 70%, that retail price, based on your bonus points, a 30% retail discount is somewhere between 20 and 25 points per 100. So it still fits perfectly with your bonus point system. But with the customers, we always want to put it in perspective of the total discount that they get from a retail perspective. But for you guys, it works perfectly in your system. Okay, so how do you figure out what to give away for free? So I'm going to bring up the Cutco price list. And if you want to bring up yours, you're more than welcome. But let me just. Cutco price list. All right, so I'm going to give you the trick that's going to help you understand what to give away for free. Oh, I don't want that. What do I want? There we go, Cutco prices. I'm going to give you the trick of, to figure out what to give away for free. So when you start taking off things from the list, you want to get as close to that retail price as possible, a couple dollars above or below, doesn't matter. But you want to get to as close to that number as you can. And you want to give away things that have a high retail price compared to a low point value, because what that does is it saves the customer the most amount of dollars on their order, but takes away the least amount of points. Let me give you one example that is going to make this really, really clear, and you're going to like being able to have this tool in your arsenal. So let's say that with the Homemaker upgrade, the Homemaker plus 8 set block is $159, right? If that's on the list, that's $159. Let's say, for example, that the French chef is $155. Let's say that was part of your Homemaker upgrade. They wanted the French instead of the petite. It's $155. So it's essentially the same price, $159 and $155. So we could give either one of those for free and discount it from that $900 total. But if I gave away the French chef, it only cost me 95 points. So it saves the customer $155. It only cost me 95 bonus points. If I gave away the Homemaker plus 8 block, it would save the customer essentially the same amount, $159. So for them, it's the same difference, but it would cost me 120 bonus points to give away the block. So in this situation, I'm definitely giving away the knife instead of giving away the block because it's the same difference to the customer, but it doesn't take as big of a hit for my order. Does that make sense? So you want to look at things that have a high retail price compared to a low point value, and you want to give those things away because it saves you the most on your points. Typically, the items that have the highest discrepancy are the larger knives, the chef knives, the Santokus. The bigger knives have the bigger discrepancy between point value and retail value. So those are always the best things to give away for free. Some people, though, they like to give away things like the smaller items like table knives and gadgets, because a lot of customers, if they get more items for free, it feels like a bigger value. Some customers, if they get the biggest knife for free, it feels like a bigger value. It depends on the customer. I've never been able to figure it out in 17 years, but you know, but I think they both work, and it just, you know, you kind of get the feel for the customer. All right, does that make sense to everybody with those upgrades and those prices? So step number 3 again is to get to 70%, and then step number 4 is ask for the order. Ask for the order, which is just smile and nod and say, Mrs. Jones, normally the Homemaker upgrade it would be at $900, but because you already have these pieces and because of this discount, I can give it to you for $630. I'm willing to do it and take a hit on my commission because I really want to see you get this set, because I know you're really excited about it. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you, would you like to go ahead and get this upgrade today? Smile and nod. How do we feel about upgrades? Is that helpful? Does that give some clarity for upgrades? Okay. Wonderful. We talked about the trade and special, didn't we? Okay. Do you guys want to learn about cookware? All right. We're going to watch a quick video, and I'm going to give you the URL while I put this on my screen too. But the website that I'm going to show you, it's mcdistrict.com/keystaff. It's called MC District, the MIC District, mcdistrict.com/keystaff. And this is my friend Brian Carter. You know him from those fast start videos that we sent out. He's got a lot of videos that he puts on his Keystaff, his personal website for his office and his division. Some of these items, like the complete set, family set role play, it's similar to my script that he uses. Steak knives, that'll be a 2021 thing. But he does a really good job explaining cookware. So I'm going to play this quick video. It's 11 minutes long, and then I'm going to give you a couple quick nuggets and keys, and we're going to wrap up right at 11 o'clock. Does that sound good? Okay.
Hey guys, this is Brian Carter coming at you, and today I'm excited to get a chance to introduce you, or better explain to you, one of my favorite Cutco products, and that's actually going to be our high quality waterless cookware. Now, obviously people know us best for the kitchen knives, but a lot of people don't know that cookware, pots and pans, it's one of our legacy items. We've been making our cookware since the 40s or 50s. It's the same American-made quality. It's covered by that same great forever guarantee, fantastic pricing, and really just best-in-class products that we have available. It's just that a lot of people are not as familiar with it. So I'm hoping today over the next couple minutes to get a chance to tell you a little bit more about what we have to offer and what makes that Cutco cookware, I should say, so unique. So a couple things just to share right off the top. You're going to see that it's high quality stainless steel cookware. And we chose stainless steel for a couple different reasons. Now, some people, use different materials for their cookware. Some people use things like copper. Now, there's applications where copper can be pretty good, but it's also extremely expensive. And copper can be very reactive to food. And so, it really can be very limiting in what you can actually cook in it. So copper really wasn't a good choice for us. Cast iron is the classic choice. And cast iron is great. You can defend your home with cast iron. But the problem is the seasoning, the maintenance of them, preventing rust, things like that can be very challenging. So as durable as cast iron is, and I still keep a skillet around to use from time to time, for day-to-day use, it's not always the easiest choice. And then, the other question that sometimes I get is, what about non-stick pots and pans? And unfortunately, that coating that's applied, it's kind of like Teflon. That same thing that helps it slide off, well, unfortunately, those chemicals over time will chip and peel off. They can even leach into your food. In fact, there's a lot of countries that don't allow the use of that type of coating for things that will come in contact with your food. So for us, from a health perspective, and even from the point of the guarantee, we felt like that wasn't the best option. And so that's why we chose this high quality stainless steel. Now, a couple things to know about stainless steel. Stainless steel on its own is not the best conductor of heat. And so it's not going to be as efficient when you're cooking. And so what we did with Cutco is we have a 5-ply construction. It's literally stainless steel on the outside, stainless steel on the inside, with 3 layers of aluminum that make the core that goes all throughout it. The benefit of aluminum is that it's going to be, it's one of the best conductors of heat. That construction, that aluminum wraps all the way around it. In fact, even the lid is a 5-ply construction. And so what we're able to do is cook at a lower temperature in less time, and also helps eliminate hot spots if you have kind of an older stove or range like I do at home. Okay. In fact, once I put the lid on there and I start cooking in this, it's going to create a vapor seal. I'll show you what that looks like in just a second, but that's going to allow it to transmit heat so efficiently that literally your food cooks from the bottom up, the sides in, even the top down. I always tell my customers it functions as much like an oven as it does anything else. In fact, I can actually take our skillet. This is wild. The skillet is awesome. I use this thing all the time. I can take our skillet and I can bake a sheet cake on the top of our stove using this skillet. Because again, it transmits heat so effectively from every direction, it really does operate, think more like an oven. And so there's a lot of benefits that go along with that. But to kind of give you a better idea, I just want to show you what that vapor seal actually looks like. Got a little bit of water here. And when you start to heat up whatever it is that you're cooking, the natural moisture in there, waters, oils, things like that, will start to evaporate. And what's going to happen, I'm not cooking right now, so I'll have to cheat. What's going to happen is water is actually going to start leaching around in this lip, which you might be able to see here. So it creates a nice little bit of suction. So once you start cooking, it's going to create this seal, and I can literally spin it right on there. And what that's going to do is hold in the moisture, the flavor, the nutrients. So there's so many benefits to waterless cookware. If you're not familiar with that term, waterless cookware is just going to allow you to cook things a little bit quicker, a little bit easier. But the big thing is maintain more of its flavor, more of its texture, and it's just going to do a much, much better job for you. In addition to that, stainless steel is incredibly durable, it's dishwasher safe, and it's non-reactive to food. So it's tough, it's effective, it's attractive, but most importantly, it's going to allow you to cook in less time and really prepare better meals. A couple things that you're going to want to know when you do cook with a waterless cookware system. Now, I want to be very clear. You don't have to change the way you cook to enjoy Cutco cookware. You can use this the same way you've used your traditional pots and pans. But if you're open to a couple of different ideas, I think you'll find that it's quicker, it keeps a lot more nutrients in it, it's a lot healthier, and it's just better overall. You're going to heat up your kitchen less, you're going to use less energy, and you're going to produce better food. So we have a lot of resources we make available to our customers, recipes, some great videos online to kind of walk you through some of the subtle differences and nuances. But the basic idea is this. When I cook carrots for my sons, my two boys, Noah and Asher, if we cook carrots or vegetables, you know, they love raw carrots. I do too. But as soon as we cook them, they get mushy. They lose flavor. They lose texture. And so this great thing that my kids would normally eat, they're just not feeling it all of a sudden. And so we put salt, or we put, you know, vanilla, you put oils, you put sugars, you put, you know, all kinds of things in there just to make it palatable. And the reason why is with that process of boiling things in that scalding hot water, you're losing up to 30% of the nutritional content. You're breaking down enzymes that you know you need from your foods. And so when we make those carrots with the waterless cookware, and let's be honest, any of you guys who know me, when my wife makes these, because she's the cook in the family, she'll literally take the carrots or green beans or broccoli or whatever it is she's making, rinse it under the sink, and the amount of moisture that clings to it, that's generally enough to cook it. That's really all you need to do. You put the lid on, medium to low is all you need to know. You never really get this above medium because it conducts heat so efficiently, it's unnecessary. And in fact, if you have a gas range, I doubt you ever go above low. Okay, so when you do that though, what happens is that moisture starts to evaporate, but because of that seal, it all stays in there. It's not quite steaming, but again, it does work much more like an oven, and you're gonna get this beautiful color, this beautiful texture, and this beautiful flavor. Think about when we make coffee, all right? When we make coffee, we take these great beans from the earth, and what we do is we put scalding hot liquid through that beautiful thing that we got from the earth, okay? Once it's done, what do? You know, we literally take that liquid, because all the flavor, all the caffeine, love caffeine, all those nutrients and flavor have leached out of it. And what's left is this pulpy mess of just coffee beans. It's grinds, it's useless. We throw them in the trash. Okay, but when I make those carrots for my kids, what do? Boiling, scalding hot water, and then I feed them that pulpy, gross mess of orange, mushy carrots, and then like that liquid, I dump it down the garbage disposal. Again, you lose up to 30% of the nutritional content when you boil your foods like that. And I mean, the reality is the healthiest person in my house is my garbage disposal. You know, he's the best fed. I want to show you here, I've got a carrot in our peeler. And if I take this peeler and I just kind of shred this carrot a little bit. By the way, if you don't have our Cutco peeler, it's insane. Hopefully you guys can see this. And what I'm gonna end up with is just kind of these real fine pieces of carrots, just to be able to show you here real quick. Now, if you're still following along with me on that example where we use the coffee, I'm just trying to get something that's kind of small and compact here. Now we'll do another video on how to use your chopping knives and chef's knives, but the basic idea is you rest the tip on the board, tip never leaves the board, and you just rock with it. Nice and easy. Good chef knife is such a time saver in the kitchen. Instead of having to break out a food processor, you know, I can just real quickly dice, chop, mince, do those jobs in the kitchen. So here's what's gonna happen. I've got my chopped up carrots right here. Some weird lighting there. And I'm gonna put this in just a cup with some water in it. And then I want you to imagine that we were actually making this, that like we were putting this in boiling, scalding hot water. Well, I want to show y'all here in just about 30 seconds of kind of lukewarm water, what actually happens here. And it's kind of intense. Just like the nutrients are coming out of those coffee beans, or at least the flavor, maybe nutrients, maybe I'm flattering my morning daily routine. The same thing is happening here. And again, instead of scalding hot water, this is just a little bit of lukewarm water. You know, I don't know how long you have to cook carrots through the traditional means. We've had our waterless cookware in my house for 10 years. But just from agitating this for about 30 seconds, if I take this now and I pour this here in this cup, I'm making a mess as usual, okay? I don't know if we can see that really well, but it's straight orange. And I think you guys can hopefully see that. That was literally about 30 seconds of lukewarm water. So you can just imagine what you're doing to your foods when you do boil it in that scalding hot water. Again, there's just better options out there. I can just tell you the knives, as great as they are such an important tool to have in your kitchen. You use them a lot. But the cookware, I think, more than anything, really does lead to a genuine lifestyle change if people get excited about it. We do have several different set options, and we get a chance to show that to you. But what you're going to find is that within the marketplace, we're much, much cheaper than the big competitors like Saladmaster, Kitchencraft, All Clad. You know, I've got a sheet here that has Williams-Sonoma's All Clad. That's the best-selling brand there. And you know, to get their big set of cookware, the retail's $5,400, and right now they've got it on sale for about $4,000. And so, you know, that's kind of the marketplace. That's the price to get a full set of cookware. What you're going to find is for a fraction of that price, you can get an entire set of the Cutco cookware. And for people who can get by with a few less pieces, it's going to be even less than that. So if you have any questions, please, you know, reach out. We're going to be excited to tell you a little bit more about it and just further share some of the benefits that you guys could have and your family could enjoy with the Cutco cookware. You can't beat American made, you can't beat forever guaranteed, you can't beat dishwasher safe, and you're always going to make the right call when you do business with Cutco. So thank you for your time. We appreciate you, and we can't wait to see you next time.
All right. I love listening to Brian Carter. So that's our traditional cookware. We also have our non-stick fry pans that just came out. So I'm going to share my screen here. It wasn't on Brian's video, but these fry pans are insane. They're basically the same quality as the cookware that Brian just talked about, but this is absolutely top-notch non-stick. There's 3 fry pans. There's an 8-inch, 10-inch, and 12-inch that matches the other fry pans. This is not through Cutco. It's through a different company, but it is the highest quality American-made non-stick fry pans that our company feels confident and comfortable with because it's the same 5-ply construction, the same type of quality materials. Again, it's an 8, 10, and 12-inch, and they could buy both. So what happens a lot is your customers, they love the traditional non-stick cookware that we have, but a lot of people are uncomfortable using non-stick fry pans because they're a little bit challenging and they're finicky, and it could be a little bit harder. So a lot of people still prefer to use non-stick, and when they can have a healthy, safe, high quality non-stick option, it makes all the difference. So those are the 3 additional pieces that we have with our cookware. It's from American Elite Kitchen, American Kitchen Elite. So that is the cookware. More information on that is on Vector Connect. I do want to throw down a contest. And now that you are trained on the ultimate set and cookware and all these new things, then I want to throw down a contest. And this is just for those of you, just for the 9 of you on this call. 9, I think 9. I'm going to do a contest. The first person out of this group to sell an ultimate or a signature or an upgrade over 1,000 CPO. So the first person to sell an ultimate or a signature or an upgrade over 1,000 CPO, then you get from me a knife of your choice. So any knife that you want from the set, gift from me, I'll send it right to you. But the first person to sell an ultimate or signature or an upgrade of $1,000 or more, then 1,000 CPO more, that you get a free piece of Cutco of your choice from me. So you guys all have my number from those automated texts. If you don't have that, then just as soon as you sell that set, you can either send me a message on GroupMe, because we're probably linked somewhere on there, or just get my cell phone from your manager and let me know, and I'll let you know if you're the first one to sell that set. But thank you so much for being part of SLDM. Thank you for spending your morning with me. We're ending right on time so you can get to your next activities. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how each of you grow and develop and make those next steps, whether it's just promotions and selling big or you end up on the management track. Either way, I'm looking forward to seeing each of you take advantage of Cutco, take advantage of Vector and all the opportunities that it has to provide, and really use it as a stepping stone for your business and for your life. And hopefully that's with Cutco for as long as possible. So have a great day. Thanks so much again for being with us. And we'll see you tomorrow night at the division meeting.
Drew, I had a quick question for you.
Yep.
So I had one customer who's really interested in that small frying